It's already been 8 years since I started living a more minimalist life, decluttering and moving abroad. On one hand, I really do want to say that minimalism has changed my life, but also after so much time, it's hard to pinpoint what it exactly was that made me the person that I am right now. But I can say so much that through being a minimalist and following guidelines and rules and principles, minimalism also made itself obsolete. What I mean by that is that I'm living according to minimalist values, yes. But it doesn't feel like I'm being a minimalist, it just feels like living my life. And after such a long time, at the beginning of this year, I kind of felt stuck. I kind of felt like everything was just going on and being boring. No new stuff, no decluttering, no changes going on. But then I surprised myself and realized that actually I like this very much. I like the boring and mundane life. And because minimalism is an ongoing journey, the first thing I want to share with you about this past year of minimalism is how much I was enjoying doing things instead of owning things. And that's something that was a process for the past 3, if not 5 years, or even like minimalism as a whole. But this year I really also experienced again how I kind of made progress there. And I went swimming so many times in the summer, and I went for amazing walks, and I enjoyed my time at home, reading or watching a good show, learning something, and just I enjoyed spending time focusing on doing things, and stuff was very much so in the background. And hand in hand with that goes actually the second thing I want to share with you today, and that is that not buying things has very much so become a habit for me. And yes, of course, sometimes I need to buy stuff. Still, I realized in September actually that I have not bought a single thing for myself this year so far. And that is not because I don't value myself, but just because I had every single thing I needed. And after that, I bought a bunch of things because suddenly I needed some new things. And actually very recently I also bought 10 books at a charity like secondhand book sale. I'm going to talk about that in my next video, the in and out video for November. But I just realized very much so that minimalism for me, and I think that is also just a really important component of minimalism in general, is being very, very intentional with what we bring in. Because if we do not bring in a lot of junk, then we also do not need to declutter it. So by being very intentional, the result is just a minimalist life. And in the process of realizing that I didn't really buy things for myself, I also realized that I developed a certain comfort zone for intentional consumption. So what I mean by that is I think we all kind of have a consumption comfort zone, and it's a term I came up with a month ago or so. And that is that we are used to buying a certain amount of things every month or every year. And so usually a lot of us in this society feel the need to buy stuff constantly because that is what makes us comfortable. That is how we learn to, treat ourselves, spend our money, and take part in consumerism. And so it feels uncomfortable if you suddenly do a no-spend month, or if you try minimalism and intentional consumption, because you feel uncomfortable because you cannot buy all the stuff you're used to buying. But what happened with me is that over the years of being very intentional with what I buy, I became very, very comfortable with just a small amount of things coming into my life. This means that I kind of feel uncomfortable if more than 3 things come into my life every month. I think it's a good sign because it helps me consume intentionally, but of course it's just important that we use it the way it works for us, and that I don't beat myself up if 1 month more stuff comes into my life. And I do also think that I did a good job with that. Because life happens, and sometimes you need more stuff and sometimes you need nothing. And acknowledging that and living according to that instead of focusing on strict rules, I think, leads to freedom and living a content, minimalist or not minimalist life. And when we're already talking about consumption and stuff, I do want to share one more lesson I learned this year about stuff with you. And now, yes, minimalism and my life has a lot less to do with stuff than it had in the past. But there's one thing I realized, and I think it's very, very interesting. So in the middle of the year, I suddenly learned and realized that I feel an immense feeling of gratitude towards the items that I've had for a long time that are far from new, but that this feeling is almost better than the feeling I get from buying something new. Let me compare it to kind of having a crush versus being in a committed, trusting relationship. So buying something new for me feels like a crush sometimes a little bit. There's this nervousness, there's this excitement, there's this wonder of like, how is this going to turn out? How much am I going to use it? Is this item going to make me happy? Knowing that of course is not the case. And that's nice. Like, that's a nice feeling, and I get that sometimes. But having a piece for a long time and just being able to rely on it, no matter if it's a sweater, if it's my bed, if it's my desk, I don't know. Knowing that it's there for me, that I can trust it, it feels like this committed relationship. And it's such a great feeling that I think it helped me appreciate the stuff I have, and it helps me not overspending and over consuming, because I can compare these feelings and I see the value of having things for a long time. Talking about that, a few weeks ago, actually, I realized a second thing. And that has to do with kind of cost per use. I have some items that I got for free years ago, or that I bought for some money. But after using them for, let's say, 5 years, they're just here for me, almost free. And that kind of made me realize that I have a huge appreciation for things that are nothing special. Maybe part of it is the financial aspect, but other than that, I just feel free when I know that I don't need so many expensive, specific things, but that I can do with just a random t-shirt. Being able to make do with a random chair I found on an online marketplace. Feeling like I don't need to go out, pay a lot of money and seek this one specific perfect thing. Now, of course, that is not absolutely true. I still have kind of a lot of good quality clothing pieces. I have my backpack that I bought for a lot of money, almost 4 years ago now. I have shoes that I paid a bunch of money for. My camera is a very expensive thing that I'm very grateful for. I couldn't do with just any laptop because I need a good quality laptop. But for whenever it's possible, I think it's such a great feeling to know that there's such a low cost of use, if not just free. I kind of hope that you can relate a little bit, or maybe you have better words for it. If so, let me know down below how you feel about your stuff and about the cost of your stuff, the cost per use. And as a last thing, I do want to say that I highly recommend the videos I made each and every year about 5 years of minimalism, 6 years of minimalism, 7 years of minimalism, because I did rewatch them, and I think they're great actually. I think I learned so much, and I think there's so much valuable stuff in there. So I do recommend you check them out. So I am actually going to link you one of these videos here. And I do want to say thank you so much for everyone who's supporting me on Patreon, to everyone who's supporting me with super thanks, or also if you have just watched until now. I hope I see you there or in my next video. Goodbye.